Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I suppose the title, and you thought Chilling Reign was good. So a couple of videos ago, what we did, we checked out all Sword and Shield main sets, and my mistake, I forgot Fusion Strike. So what I'm going to do while I'm talking is re-rank them up here, just so you can get an idea, because missed out Fusion Strike, don't know what I was thinking, brain blip. But anyway, what we did was we looked at the top 10 hits raw, not graded, raw, from each Sword and Shield main set, added them all up and compared it to the current booster box price. That gave us a ratio which was essentially current total hit cost in relationship to current booster box price. And as you can see from the list up here, Chilling Reign ended up sitting on top. So Chilling Reign had a ratio of roughly the hits being about 5 times the current booster box price. Now, people can take that as gospel, they can take it with a grain of salt, they can take it as absolute truth, and this means that Chilling Reign is the best investment from Sword and Shield. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, let's have a look at, or this is a relationship between the top 10 hits ungraded and the current booster box price. Now, I can take away a few things from that, and I'm going to share them with you very shortly, because we're going to explore a couple more today. You can take away what you please, though. You can go, well, yeah, that's sort of useless information, well done. Or you can think that, yeah, you know, it's a good idea. But I will get into some info that might help. But before we do, thanks again, everyone that comments. I just love chatting to people about Pokemon investing. So thanks heaps for commenting. What I wanted to get some feedback on today is, what do you think is going to happen with Obsidian Flames? The next English set to come out. And of course, this card got released not long ago. The Charizard, the special, what do they call them now? Sorry, special illustration rare, I believe they call them now. So the special illustration rare Charizard has been released, which I suppose, or I assume, is going to be the main chase card of Obsidian Flames. What do you think? Is the set going to suffer, I shouldn't say fate, as Chilling Reign, but is it going to be, like Chilling Reign, overshadowed by some bigger sets like Scarlet and Violet 151 on the horizon? Sort of like what happened with Chilling Reign and Evolving Skies and Celebrations coming afterwards. Is it going to be an awesome set? And don't know. What are your thoughts? Tell me. What do you think about this card? Is it a good-looking card? Again, are they overdoing Charizard? Please let me know. Anyway, what I wanted to move on to next is looking at what this actually means. So, how can we use this information between top 10 hits in a set and booster box price, and then lead that into maybe some investment predictions for the future? Now, forgive my stupid artwork here, not very good at it all, but have a look at this graph that I'm drawing. So consider dollars down one side on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. So dollars over time, how much is something increasing? The first line I wanted to draw up in whatever colour, this orange, red, is booster box price. And I haven't started at the bottom because obviously a booster box is not worth nothing. Let's say it's worth, I'm just plucking a number out of the air, $100 US at launch. So over time, traditionally, and it's not linear, I've just drawn it linear because I don't want to draw squiggly lines or I don't want to draw curves, but let's hypothetically think it goes up. Now the second line I've drawn on in the blue colour is hits prices. So as you can see, the hits prices are sitting normally above the booster box price at launch. So much like what we explored in the last video, the relationship between the box price and the top 10 hits at launch, generally speaking, probably 99 times out of 100, I would have thought, the hits will sit high. Now what will happen is, as supply starts to be open quite rapidly because it's exciting and it's new, you'll see that I've drawn a little curve there. So the hits will generally take a little bit of a dip. Now, timing the floor of that dip is impossible, but if you can get it right, that's the best time to buy singles. I wouldn't be buying singles at launch when it's hot and they're new because everyone wants them. I'd wait until some more supply gets on the market, they dip a little bit. Now, they're not continuously just going to go down, 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 down. Eventually, as you can see, they generally somewhat stabilize, and perhaps in the future when it becomes super rare or sought after, or maybe more have been lost or whatever might have happened, they can sometimes take a bit of a rise. And the example, if you say refer to something crazy like first edition base set, they've of course taken a huge rise towards the latter time of its sort of journey across this dollars and time graph. But as you can see with the booster box price, it generally should keep going up. And that's of course because supply of the box is dwindling. So this relationship between, like, it's never going to be linear. Just because the hits might be 3 times the box price at launch doesn't mean that's always, they're not always going to travel up in the same trajectory. Quite quickly, the booster box price, as more supply erodes, will overtake the cost of the hits. In some cases, that might not happen. I'm not saying this isn't a rule. This is perhaps a generalized observation, for lack of a better word. Now, I want to show you an example, like a really clear example of how this relationship happens, and then give you some tips on what it means for maybe investing in modern. I'm not talking about sets that are 20 years old, but modern. So what I wanted to show you now is an old school set. I loved this set because of the 2 gold stars. They're probably 2 of my favorite gold stars, is Holland Phantoms. Absolute belter of a set. I remember going in the supermarket, getting these for $4.95, 3-pack blisters for $14.95. Supermarkets don't even sell Pokemon cards in Australia here anymore, unless yours does. Mine don't, but back in the day they did. And when I was 17, 18, strolling in and getting Holland Phantoms packs, I just wanted to pull that Gyarados. Because I absolutely love Shining Gyarados from Neo, and I absolutely love base set Gyarados. 2 of my favorite cards, one of my favorite Pokemon. I really wanted that Shining Gyarados. Never got lucky, never pulled it. But anyway, let's look at Holland Phantoms. So, the total box cost, and this is impossible to know, because if I log on to ebay.com.au, there's one on sale there from Italy. It's got 150 people watching it, but I'm pretty sure when I logged on to eBay 6 months ago, that same box was sitting there. So it's obviously too dear, it hasn't sold, or maybe it's not a trusted seller. I don't know. It's from Italy, which makes it, what's an English box doing in Italy? Don't know. But anyway, it hasn't sold. So it's either too dear or not a trusted seller. But either way, what's the price of a Holland Phantoms booster box now? I don't know. I can tell you now, there's no data on TCG Player, but let's pluck a number out of the air and let's maybe err on the side of caution. $20,000 bucks. 20,000 US for a box of Holland Phantoms, which is about probably 32,000 Australian in current dollars. Sounds expensive, but sounds somewhat fair. If someone offered you a box of Holland Phantoms for 20,000 bucks, yeah, okay. And let's look at the top 10 hits. So obviously the 2 big chase cards are the Gold Star Mewtwo and the Gold Star Gyarados, and there's also some belting Mew cards in there. The Holland Phantoms was sort of that psychic set, a bit like XY Phantom Forces, or maybe Fusion Strike from Sword and Shield. It's funny that the psychic sets always seem to, across the years, hold somewhat of a premium. So that's why, I really like Fusion Strike's investment for Sword and Shield. I'm getting off topic here, but people seem to like that psychic vibe to a set. The colours, the purple, even the Holland Phantoms box. It's got, the nice colours on it. But anyway, top 10 hits, and this will surprise you, total, and most of it made up just from the Gold Star Gyarados and Mewtwo's, $1,671. So if we use this as a ratio between hit price and box price, you'll notice that it's not even 10%. So as a ratio, it's actually 0.08. Interesting. And if you did the same with first edition base set, geez, you'll probably find something really, really similar. So if we refer back to that graph and what it sort of means for investing, I don't think it helps at all with vintage, not at all. But if we're looking at modern, not just as a set's launch, but if we're looking at Sword and Shield, which is, I know it's definitely still modern, but it hasn't just been launched. I mean, it's been over 6 months since Crown Zenith has come out. So yes, some of the later sets might still get reprinted, but a lot of them should be done, particularly definitely up to Shining Fates. That should be done. A lot of those mid sets, is Evolving Skies getting a reprint? Don't know. Most likely done. It'd be very surprising if it does, and if it does, it's only going to be a very minor one, which I don't think is going to impact the market at all. So let's focus this relationship with the graph that I was saying on the difference between the top 10 hits and the booster box price for sort of modern Sword and Shield. This is when we should use this information to sort of guide our thinking. Because if you look at what's going to happen with those hits, eventually, like, look at Evolving Skies. Clearly that's got the most or the strongest hits out of the whole Sword and Shield era. Those cards, they're just, the demand for them, they're never going to go to zero. They're going to, if they follow this trend, they should, like everything else over time, maybe take a bit of a hit, but they should quickly come back to life, stabilize, come back to life, stabilize, come back to life. But the box price, as supply dwindles, should consider or continue to go up. There's definitely a relationship between the total cost of the hits, or how good the hits are inside a set, and how good the box will perform over time. Like, if you want to argue that point, go ahead. But the stronger the hits, the more valuable the hits, the stronger the box will perform over time. I'm happy to be proven wrong if someone wants to show me something, but I think that's an extremely fair statement. Look at there's a heap more factors that come into play. Print run, etc. can come into play, but you could also argue the more it's printed, the more it's going to dip the cost of the hits, and the hits will diminish. So the stronger the hits, clear relationship or correlation between the strength of the hits or total cost of the hits and the booster box price over time. Think back to that graph. You could really use it to your advantage, so to speak. And case in point, let's jump on a different journey here, which I've just bought myself a fair few boxes of V-Star Universe, so I wanted to bring this up for you because this is insane. And this is what I meant at the start of the video when I said you thought Chilling Reign was good. The ratio of hits, total cost of hits versus booster box price was about 5x. Look at V-Star Universe. Here's a sneaky one. So current box price, I think they're about 100. I got them for, I can't even remember what I played. So, maybe somewhere around 170 Australian. So let's say they're about 120 US. Okay, and the total cost of the top 10 hits currently is $1,522. Now, these aren't perfect figures. Like, I'm not saying those. You look up the top 10, that's exactly what you'll get. This is used more as an example. So let's say roughly it's $1,500, the top 10 hits currently, and the box price is $120. This gives us a ratio between top 10 hits and box price of 12.68. 12.68. That's an insane ratio compared to English. Man, and I'll just show a couple of the cards up here in a second. Look how nice the artwork is in this set though. I'll keep them scrolling through, but the other thing to keep in mind is this is a very fresh set still. Like, it's launched a little bit before Crown Zenith. It's very, very fresh. It's 7 months old or something, 8 months old. It could well be subject to a reprint, and therefore singles prices will dip. But at the moment, 12.68, and there's only one other set, maybe a few more in recent history, but one other set that comes to mind Japanese-wise that has performed as well as this. And that is, of course, the one and only Eevee Heroes. So current box price, and again, don't take it, I think it's about 800 Australian, which is probably a touch over $500 US. So let's just punch a figure in. This is for examples anyway. It's not perfect. This isn't taken off any website. This is just coming out of the noggin. So let's say it's 540 US a box currently. Now the total hits, try getting an Umbreon VMAX Raw. That's going to set you back, according to most websites and eBay, somewhere in the vicinity of $2,000. Now, if you add up the top 10 hits, you're somewhere north of $6,000. That is just bonkers. And if you do the ratio, top 10 hits versus booster box price, you're sitting at 12.5. So could we use that information as an investment tool on V-Star Universe? Unless it gets one hell of a reprint, then my argument would be a strong yes. Now, over time, V-Star Universe, if you think way back to that graph that I had up, the box price should keep, and it's not linear, but it should keep going up. Singles prices, if there's a reprint, will dip, but eventually they'll stabilize, and then maybe as things get rarer and cards get lost and new sets come out and people forget about it, somehow cards disappear, they've locked in people's attics, you know, maybe that price will start coming back up again for the singles. But there's going to become this separation, you know, it's almost like hits, box price, and there's this separation between the two over time. Now, if we can take one thing out of this video, one thing, go invest in V-Star Universe. I really, really like that set, and I think it's going to be an absolute belter. Would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Please drop some comments below. Love chatting to you guys. Thanks again for watching. Ta.